Hey folks, I've got a question for you. Are you ready to elect Ed Gillespie to the United States Senate?
Yay!
Are you ready to take control of the United States Senate and fire Harry Reid?
Yeah!
You bet we are. This is so exciting. I can feel this momentum building up all across the state, all across this country. We are going to win this election if we do what we need to do between now and Tuesday. Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Don't stop until 7 o'clock on Tuesday. Everything you can do between now and then will make a difference. And Mark is absolutely right. First of all, what a great job Mark Obenchain and Todd Gilbert do in Richmond for you, where the Virginia Constitution requires that they balance the budget of the state. They are great representatives for you here. And stand up for your fiscal conservatism. That is very important, and we need that in Washington, D.C. And Mark Warner, who for years and years has been the, I'm conservative on spending, but I'm moderate on social issues. Isn't that what you always hear about Mark Warner? Mark Warner is flaming liberal on social issues, and he is flaming liberal on spending, voting for the stimulus, $1 trillion added to our national debt that doesn't even get paid for with revenues coming to the government. It's all borrowed against your children and grandchildren's future, and the only thing it's stimulated is growth in the federal government. He voted for Obamacare, another budget buster that is unbelievable in the impact that it's having right now and will get even worse as we move forward in the future. So we need somebody who believes in limited government and individual responsibility and free enterprise and lower taxes and less government regulation, strong families and a strong national defense. That man is Ed Gillespie. Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
Roll up our sleeves, get to work, go out, and get our friends and neighbors to the polls. Mark is right, because it's not just the percentage we deliver here, it's the number of votes we deliver here. And a big turnout is the only way to win this election, to offset that big population in Northern Virginia. And I hope it snows up there. I hope there's but I tell you what, sleep late and don't vote, but we can't count on that, because the other side's going to be hoping the opposite right here. So let's get out and get people to the polls and win this election for those people who believe in a bright, conservative future for our children and grandchildren. And the person who will best stand up for that and fire Harry Reid and deliver that majority is right here with us today, your friend and mine, the next senator.
Thank you all so much. Bob, thank you so much. Mark, Todd, thank you for your strong support. Everyone here, thank you for your strong support. And we do need a senator in Washington, D.C. who will stand up for our principles and our values in the way Bob Goodlatte does in the U.S. House and in the way that Mark and Todd do in the state legislature. And I will be that senator. I will stand up for the things we know work for our fellow Virginians and for our fellow Americans, that create jobs, raise take-home pay, lift people out of poverty, hold down healthcare costs, and reduce energy prices. And that's our agenda, and we know we can get these things done. This economy that we're dealing with as a result of the Obama-Warner policies, we know that this is, they say it's the new normal. We know that's the old mediocre, and we can do better. And when I say the Obama-Warner policies, I mean it. And President Obama has said that his policies are on the ballot this year, every single one of them. And in voting with President Obama 97% of the time, Mark Warner's pretty much voted for every single one of them. And we need to have a change. We cannot afford 6 more years of the last 6 years. And we can turn things around. It is not too late. It's not too late to get this country back on track. But it's getting later. Getting later every day. And that's why this election in 6 days, not that anyone's counting, 6 days, is so important, and why we can make a difference for the country that we love. And it is a big choice election. The choices between Mark Warner's policies and mine could not be more clear. And the impact that they will make for our country could not be more clear. Let's start with the fact that Mark Warner said in our 3 debates that he is not done raising taxes yet. In fact, he has voted for $1 trillion in tax increases, and he made clear he's not anywhere near done raising our taxes. and I will fight against tax increases. So we've got a clear choice. Are we going to have higher taxes and stagnant wages, or are we going to have tax relief and higher take-home pay? Mark Warner's not done increasing our debt. He has voted for $7 trillion in new debt, and despite telling us when he first ran for the Senate that he'd be for a balanced budget amendment, he voted against it on the floor of the United States Senate. So we've got a clear choice. Are we going to keep piling more and more federal debt on future generations, or are we going to balance our budget, have a balanced budget amendment, and get our priorities straight? Mark Warner has provided the deciding vote for the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, and he stands by that, and he wants to keep it in place. And I want to repeal it and replace it with policies that work. So we've got a clear choice. Are we going to have a government-run healthcare system, or are we going to have market-oriented, patient-centered reforms that work? Mark Warner is for cap-and-trade legislation and a carbon tax, like Mark said. Devastating to our coal sector in Southwest Virginia, and devastating to anybody who's got a thermostat in their house or a gas tank in their car, too, by the way. And he won't stand up against these excessive, brutal EPA regulations. I will fight them every step of the way. I will be a voice for our coal sector. I'll stand up for our coal miners and the families and small businesses who rely on them, and everybody who pays for energy in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So we've got a clear choice. Are we going to continue to have these excessive regulations on energy that kill jobs and drive up prices? Or are we going to unleash American energy and create jobs and bring down prices? We've got a clear choice when it comes to our national security policies. Because right now, because of Mark Warner's voting to cut $986 billion, nearly $1 trillion in support of President Obama, cutting from that from our military, while, by the way, the cost of Obamacare is projected to be $1 trillion more than when it was passed. You can do the math. We are slashing our military to pay for more Obamacare. There's no two ways about it. So we've got a clear choice here. Are we going to continue to set national security priorities based on random, arbitrary, deep and dangerous cuts to our defense budget? Or are we going to have a defense budget that reflects our national security priorities? Are we going to have a porous border that is not just an immigration concern, but a homeland security concern and a public health and safety concern, or are we going to have border security? We have clear choices in this election, and we can make a difference for the country that we love. We can turn things around. And, you know, we don't have to be a country. I'm always hurt to see and disappointed to see that most Americans today no longer believe we are a country where the next generation can do better than the generation that came before us. That does not have to be our past. That must be our future. And it can be with the right policies, and those are our policies. Many of you know that my father came to this country as a boy from Ireland because his father, my grandfather, found work in America. My grandfather brought my father from a country where if you were born poor, you were going to die poor, for something completely different. America. America. We don't want this great country to be more like places people have been fleeing for centuries to get away from. Countries with currencies ruined by too much government debt, freedom stifled by too much government intrusion in our lives. And it doesn't have to be that way. We can turn things around. But like it always has, seemingly in our nation's history, it begins here with us, in Virginia. The stand for freedom and liberty and prosperity starts in Virginia. And we can get this country back on track with your help. We can win. I feel the momentum everywhere I go. I have to tell you, you can feel it out there. You can feel it building. We are doing great in absentee ballots. We are doing great in door knocks. Our volunteers, you all here, we have knocked or made phone calls and contacted over 1 million voters in this campaign already. We've got a grassroots army. We've got a grassroots army. We're going to be outspent, but we will not be outworked. And hard work beats big money every time. And we're going to continue working all the way through this election. And we're going to win this race with your help. And we're going to surprise a lot of experts in Washington, but none of you will be surprised. You've been there every step of the way from the get-go, have had faith, and we're going to show them what Virginians can do and how we're going to lead again. So thank you all so much for your support. I need you for 6 more days to not let up. I promise you I will not let up. We're going to leave it all on the field. I've already put 55,000 miles on the road here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, the very beautiful, happily Commonwealth of Virginia. I feel bad for people who have to campaign in other states. But 55,000 miles. You can go around the globe 2 times with 55,000 miles. And we're going to keep it up and keep the spurs to them, but we're going to win. But I need you to be out there knocking on doors and making phone calls and putting up yard signs and putting on bumper stickers and tweeting out tweets and posting on Facebook and doing everything you can to get people to the polls a week from yesterday. And we'll win this race. So thank you all so much for making time on a kind of a drizzly day today. And I will close with this, as I've said all along. I promise you I'll continue to run a campaign that makes you proud, but more importantly, I'll be a senator that makes you proud. God bless you, God bless the Commonwealth of Virginia, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.